What's going on, guys? Got a video on how to check in clients or write up customers, whichever way you want to call it. It's very straightforward. It is a 5-step process. You should take notes on this one. It's going to really help you out, and you can come back and rewatch this video as well as always. And the premise of it is very simple. We like to compare ourselves to a Ritz-Carlton or a Marriott, JW Marriott, which are all 5-star hotels, instead of a Super 8 motel. So before we even get into the actual procedures, which is a 5-step process, like I said, let's just talk about what happens when you walk into a 5-star facility versus a 1-star facility or a 2-star facility. Think of your Red Roof Inn or a Motel 8. So the moment you walk into a 5-star facility, you go up to the counter, there's always going to be someone there. You've never walked into a 5-star facility where there's nobody at the counter. It just doesn't happen. And the moment you walk in, they greet you. If there's no line, of course, they come in, hey, hello, Mr. How you doing? My name is blah, blah, blah. And they greet you and they ask you your name. They refer to you as Mr. or Mrs. or Miss. And immediately you can feel that warmth. I've had an old example from a coach of ours that said that when you walk into a Motel 8 or a Marriott, they all have the same problems. But what the Motel 8 person does is they let you see all their problems, right? They're scrambling, there's crap all over the place, there's no curtain. And when you walk into a Marriott, they have the same issues, but they're all hidden. That's why you pay for the high level or the quality of the dollars that you pay for, is because you don't want to see their problems, right? Customers don't care. They don't want to see them. There's a big curtain that hides that. When you walk in, the Motel 8 person says, oh, your room's not ready, one of our cleaners didn't show up, and they complain to you about their stuff, right? They don't care that you have all these issues going on, and they'll just let you hear it. Whereas the Marriott person says, Mr. Syed, your room is not ready, but we're gonna have it ready very soon. Could you please have a seat at the bar? In the meantime, here's a free drink voucher on us while you wait. We're so sorry about your room. And you're able to get this comfort. Oh, let us take your bags for you so that we'll get them up to the room. And that's why you pay $500 a room instead of $50 a room. Other than the fact that the $50 room also has bed bugs. So the same with that mindset, we're talking about how to check in clients. So get right into it. When a customer walks into our building, we greet them within 10 seconds or less, ideally 5. And you want to smile and you want to match their energy. You always say, welcome to AutoPro or CarFix. My name is Zane. How can I help you? And you could always match their energy, but a little above. You don't want to be like, oh, you ask their name. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, I had an appointment for 10 o'clock. All right, awesome. What's your name, sir? What's your name, ma'am? And then repeat it. Repeat it. This is not on the script, but repeat it. Be like, well, they're going to be, hey, my name is John. Hi, John. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Zane. Again, match their energy. Jokes are great for everyone. Hey, man, that weather, isn't it beautiful out there, especially if it's like a snowstorm? I'm surprised you're not wearing a Hawaiian shirt. But again, jokes are not for everyone. Gauge yourself and the person in front of you. Now, here's when we get right into the write-up. This is Techmetric. Step 3 is really important. Please write this down. It is also on your screen, right? You can see the vehicle. What kind of vehicle is it? Awesome. And remember, you don't want to say was. What kind of vehicle was it? The was is so dumb. Not was. It's grammatically incorrect, and it's also kind of like rude in some weird sense, because anyway, why is that rude? It's rude because like, if you refer to it as if you're being standoffish, right? You want to be direct. Hey, and I'm so sorry. What kind of vehicle is it? What is your name? Don't be, what was your name? What is your name? Again, I am so sorry. Can I get your name once again? Be direct. Don't be like one of those. It's kind of ghetto, right? Anyway, I digress. I'm going off about this. You want to put the info into Techmetric. You want to say what kind of a vehicle is it, year, make, model. If they don't know, no problem. We'll get it from the VIN number, and then get an approximate mileage on the car. Ask them to describe the problem. Now, here's where it gets interesting. If they have one concern, you just write down 1, brake noise, squealing from the front. And you want to put a little bit of description, like, hey, what's going on with your brakes? It's squealing. Is it a loud squeal? Is it a soft squeal? Is it when you're moving forward? Is it when you're moving backward? Is it at high speed? Is it low speed? Is it when you have the foot on the brake, a foot off the brake? You want to get as specific as possible. And you want to then, if they have a second concern, there's a thumb coming from the rear. So that's number 2, thumb from the rear. Is it from the rear? Is it going over bumps? Is it when you go slowly? Is it at high speeds? Once again, you're going to get as specific. If they have a third concern, you write down number 3. AC is not cold. When is it not cold? Is it not cold all the time? Is it not cold only when you hit the gas? Is it only when you come to a stop, does it stop being cold? Is it only on one side? Is it on both sides? Is one side colder than the other? You want to get as much specific information as you can get. Remember, it is your responsibility, not the customer's, to get the data. Don't be like, well, the customer didn't tell me. This is really important that you make this clear, guys. If the customer doesn't tell you, it's your fault. Remember, if you go to the hospital and you tell the guy that your butt is hurting and then turns out you have a heart attack, guess who's responsible? The doctor, believe it or not. So we're the doctors, they're the patients. It's not their responsibility to describe the problem. It is our responsibility to ask the right questions. I hope you get that. Now, here's where we get into really the part where you must ask these questions no matter how many concerns they have. And the number one is, how long has it been happening for? This is very crucial because it'll allow you to gauge two things. One, how long is this type of customer dragging their issues, right? Then they'll tell you how, if it's an engine light that's been on for 3 years, what you'll be able to see is this customer doesn't really care that much about it. I'm being honest, these questions will overcome objections and maybe make you identify objections prior to them even being an issue. And remember, guys, the best way to overcome an objection is to never have one in the first place. And these questions will help you identify those objections pre-hand. The next is how long they've had the car. So if somebody bought the car yesterday, they're going to be what? More or less likely to fix it. Of course, way more likely to fix it. If they've had it for 20 years, they could still be very likely to fix it because they may love the car, but there might be a possibility that they're ready for a new car. So the level of commitment will depend on how long they've had the vehicle. So when someone's like, one of the common objections is I'm not going to keep the car. Well, you can overcome that because they just bought this car, right? They can't be like, oh, I'm not going to keep this car. Well, you said you just bought it yesterday. Are you going to take a big hit on it? And then finally, what is their plan for the car? And this is where even if they had it for 20 years, you say, hey, and I just was curious, are you planning on keeping this car? I like to ask that up front. And if you can roll it in with the rest of these questions, it doesn't sound like too weird, right? Because a lot of times they're like, why are you asking me that? And if they ever ask you, why are you asking me? We just want to make sure that we look over the whole car. That's something we always do, is we want to make sure we know your plans. So that way, if you're keeping it, we will do a much thorough inspection and make sure everything is good. And obviously, if you're not keeping it, we'll still do an inspection, but that kind of helps us gauge what your commitment level is to the car. I'm very transparent about it. Like, we don't try to trick the customers into anything. But I've never been asked that, because if you roll it really nicely, people don't really ever ask. Remember, guys, people can sense energy. And if you can roll it in with the rest of these questions, it is super simple. Customers are like, I'll probably plan on keeping it for a while. It's been a good car to me. And remember, you want to compliment the car at this time as well, even though that's not in the script. It is a good idea to be like, oh, Honda Civic, those are great. Again, how long has it been happening for, how long they've had the car, and what their plan is for the vehicle. And then finally, when is the last time they've had somebody look at this car? When was the last time you had service done? Well, it's been a year. And again, this will also tell you whether this customer has been spending a lot of money on this car. Because if they've been spending a lot of money on this car, your likelihood of selling more, again, you could still sell a lot. But if they just spend $5,000 on it, they're probably going to have a bad taste in their mouth because this car keeps breaking down. But if they oh, I've done nothing to it in 5 years, yes, your likelihood of being able to sell work is a lot because they've had nothing done. So they understand that there's actually deferred maintenance that needs to be resolved. Now, most initial inspections will take 10 to 15 or 15 or 30 minutes per concern. That's what I like to tell the customer. If you got 3 concerns, you're going to give me about, let's say, 45 minutes to an hour. You need to tell them this. It takes roughly about 15 minutes per concern. Then you will inform them what we'll do next. Now, we're going to go over the whole vehicle. We're going to check your fluids, and especially for oil changes, you want to tell the customer, hey, Mr. Customer, we're going to top off all your fluids. I'm going to check all the fluids. We're going to do a safety check. If there's anything we see, we will let you know. And then from there, you want to say, would you like to have a seat? Or if they're going to be wait, would you like to wait? Then they can have a seat, especially if it's an oil change or a one quick inspection, especially for brakes or something quick like a leak. But if it's like a diagnosis, we can still do a check engine light, we can do a scan, and most things we can do, you guys know, in about 15 minutes we can do a quick initial inspection, if you know that from the funnels, that you get the car right in, you get it looked at, and you either a scan, put it on the lift, look for a leak, or check the brakes, and usually we can do all of that within 10 to 15 minutes. Anything past that, especially if they want to drop it off right up front, so a lot of people do because they don't want to wait at all. You say, do you need a ride? I can get you or someone to give you a ride within the next 5 to 10 minutes. The last is, guys, you have to set expectations before they leave your lobby. If it's a number one, you got to go ahead and you say this, which is, we'll go ahead and pull the car in. We'll get back to you within 15 to 20 minutes if it's an oil change, or within an hour if it is a drop off. You literally verbatim say that. That's how you finish that conversation. You're setting up the next interaction already. Set expectations because it takes away anxiety. When you always tell people what's going to happen next, it takes away their anxiety. They know exactly what's going to happen. They're not going to call you within 10 minutes and say, hey, what's going on with my car? You want to tell them ahead of time so that way they leave you alone for that amount of time, which will allow you to be able to run your store on your terms. That's why setting expectations is a big theme for this entire sales training, because when you set expectations, you're able to push that customer to the next point of contact that you're going to do, and you're able to do it on your terms instead of letting the customer be like, hey, you didn't tell me what was going to happen with this car. And naturally, that's a normal thing for them to do because they don't know what's going on. And I am that guy. If somebody doesn't tell me what's going on, I'll ask, hey, what's the next step? Because I don't like surprises and I want to plan my day on my terms as well. And then make sure you call them before the time that you told them. So if you told them 15 to 20 minutes for an oil change, you're going to get back to them within what? 10 minutes. And if you told them it's going to be within an hour for a drop-off, you call them within 45 minutes. Why? Because money freaking loves speed. Let me repeat that. Money loves speed. If you want to make money, you got to be faster than what you tell them. It makes you look like a lot smarter, more competent. And they said, oh, he told me an hour. He kept his promise. Now I can trust him to be able to do the work and also be able to trust him to keep his word on when the car will be done, how it will be done, how much it'll be done for. Because if you break that trust right up front, they're not going to believe anything that you said. Because that's just the way it works, man. You got to keep your word right out of the gate. So I hope this video was helpful, guys. This is a classic how to check in or write up customers. If you can learn to do it properly, you can set up all the sales. This is where a lot of guys will drop the sale right up front. They'll mess it up, and then they have a very hard time selling anything because they already broke promises. They look amateur. They look like Super 8 up front or Red Roofing, and then they're asking for Marriott or Conrad prices. Conrad is a Hilton's 5-star brand. So you can't do that. You got to have that done perfectly up front, and if you do that, I promise you, you will have a much easier job getting yeses and building customers. I hope this video was helpful. I'll see you on the next one.